VersTEAv193.
Hello, hashtag VersTEAv family, and welcome. It's week 193. I'm Aaron Mack, and here's basic complexity. And I will first name what is significant about the number three for me, right? I actually recently came across this super cool website that goes through every birthday that you've had, starting with the day you were born, and what song was number one the day you were born. And of course, being a 1983 baby, I have to represent. And the song that was number one the day I was born, and this is so interesting. The day I was born, the song that was number one is none other than Irene Cara's Flash Dance, what a feeling. Please believe it. And I I take that as encouragement because she has a line in the song where she says, I can have it all now. I'm dancing for my life. I gotta get dancing again. Gotta keep working, gotta keep pressing. I had a good day at the with the personal trainer this weekend. It was snowing and everything, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't think you were gonna come." And I'm like, "I'm serious about this." He's like, "Anyway, base complexity. Take it away with our song segment. I know you've got the old song, and then I'll do the new song."
All right. So, with the old song for this week, and many of you might remember this. Well, a lot of you should remember this. Old song is actually it was from 2004. The song Confessions Part 2, which is the one almost everybody knows. Yeah, by Usher. And I thought the song was pretty much hidden. It was like the title track from the album by the same name, Confessions. Um, the song really, in my opinion, was just a huge hit for Usher back then.
Nice.
And that's what I have.
I will be completely honest. That era of Usher was I Usher is outstanding. I love him.
Yeah.
Period. That's all I'm going to say on that. He is outstanding, and he was definitely evolving at that time. That was while I was in college, so he's amazing. Period. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
and that time frame music was really just hidden. That Usher with Confessions in '04, Destiny's Child did their well alleged final album in what's that, oh 04, 03, somewhere around there.
I think it was '04, but
Oh,
it since we're only doing two songs, I have a little extra. We have a little extra time. Why do you say alleged? Because they certainly have not released anything as Destiny's Child since then, and the beautiful, intelligent Matthew Knowles has definitely made sure that that brand was not. He's like, unless you're doing something with me, it will not be Destiny's. It will be Beyonce, Michelle, and Beyonce, Michelle, and Kelly.
Which is what they do now.
And that's what they do. Exactly.
Yeah.
He's a businessman, and it's got to be so interesting slash difficult to go through being somebody's parent to being that they're successful business manager. You know, like that.
Yeah.
That's got to be tough. And I know Sonia Norwood was one of the earlier ones with Brandy's.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So my new song is new-ish song. It's coming from the illustrious Nicole Scherzinger. Her song "Never Enough" live from the Greatest Showman play. Now that was 2017, and I remember being excited for her solo works back in like 2004 and stuff, but excited for her solo works because I'm like, oh, she can blow. And Nicole Scherzinger can blow. She really can. And her song, Never Enough, live is a perfect example of it because she can blow. She blows. And I remember thinking that her solo music that she was coming out with, like she had some song with T.I. that I remember she was, of course, naked in the video because that's what women have to do. You know, it's that kind of society. And I remember being like, but she's not really singing like that. And you know, T.I., of course, always eye candy, right? But Nicole Scherzinger, it was like, but why isn't she singing? Like she can blow, but it's because that was the same time that our generation, because I blame us, the older millennials, it's our fault. We slept on people like Nicole Scherzinger and Jennifer Hudson and
Yeah.
vocals like that. So the music industry was like, well, people don't really like vocals, so fuck it. You know, there are people who still sing because they can sing, but that's not what the music industry is really pushing, you know? And Nicole Scherzinger was a prime example of somebody who, unfortunately, got caught in that. Now she does theater because she is an outstanding vocalist and she can do theater as well. She should because she is an outstanding vocalist. Anyway, and Nicole Scherzinger's song "Never Enough" is a perfect example of that. Anyway, so I will give the really quick topic names for this week, and they are, excuse me, hashtag desire confused, hashtag toFend, hashtag RingIt, hashtag UnwelcomingQuintessence. And there's the complexity. Are we ready to get this show on the road, my friend?
Yeah, let's go.
Hashtag desire confused at just witty. Hashtag VersTEAv193
So you like him, girl?
Yeah, girl.
Oh.
But before he hurt me, I'm gonna walk away from him.
What?
Give it about 2 weeks.
What?
I just feel like if he don't have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, like what are we?
But who has had that many consecutive letters in a row?
In a row.
In a row. You sure you got the grace to get to know somebody?
You keep calling and texting.
Sound like you want to get to know you better. Oh my good, my heart is so guarded. Oh my goodness, cause you remember Jerry was crazy, but he not Jerry. Oh my. When you going back to therapy, sis? He seemed pretty nice and interested. Yeah, that's nice, but he told me he was going straight home and he had Smoothie King. I saw him on Instagram. He had Smoothie King. That ain't your man, sis. But he told me. He told me. Y'all just friends. You know your triggers. You need to relax, sis. So you like him, girl?
Yeah, girl.
Smoothie King. Yeah, Smoothie King. Oh, okay. Anyway, I love it. And we've already established the order, so I'm up first. And I will say my initial reaction in this case mixes with my personal connection, in that when I first saw this, I was like, this is so me. This is so me in the past and a little bit in the present. And the Smoothie King comment, that was a consistent LOL for me. Like just watching it over and over, I was like, wow. And I must give love to comedian Whitney LaBelle. She's a fellow millennial. And I love the fact that it felt so appropriate. Not only is she a fellow millennial, but she's a fellow anyway. But yes, I feel that song that she had in the background, and I hope we don't get flagged for it. But having the instrumental to "Get It Together" by 702, I was like, right on, millennial sister. Yes, can we get it? Because it's just like that. Anyway, Missy Elliott, I connected with it also made me think about Missy Elliott in her song when, back in the day when she says, I break up with him before he dumped me. And I remember I always used to recite that line and take it as sort of a mantra. I break up with him before he dumped me. But then I sort of realized like how very problematic that is to be like, I'll break up with him before he dumps me. Like, well, why do you think he's gonna dump you? You know? Anyway, but yeah, so I was that way, and I was like, beat him to the punch. And it's not a sport. Relationships are not a sport. It's like the song by TC Peniston, you win, I win, we lose. Because that's how it goes, you know? It's not a sport. As far as her letters, it reminds me of Dan Savage talking about trouble when your dream perfect relationship doesn't work out, and how if it happens that way and you go too far with them before it doesn't work out, you end up setting these high expectations for everyone going forward, these high, unreasonable expectations for people going forward. And that was the prime example of that. Smoothie King was hilarious. I reanalyzed self, but it's not that simple. Just don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. That's a big thing, because with the simple things like Smoothie King, whatever. But don't lie to me on anything else. Period. Big complexity.
Well, first, just wanted to add, I agree with you 100%. Do not lie to me, because that is it. That's
Period.
just. I'm sorry.
Period. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even said it.
No, right. Now, all right. So after hearing this, it just reminds me of a thought I I've had for years. And that is the fact that some people just have a ton of unrealistic expectations when it comes to a relationship. Yeah, when it comes to relationships, and that's what I have.
Excellent. So now it's time for the one sentence. I will
Yeah.
read my one sentence, and the man for me has got some work on his hands, but we are worth the work for each other. It might be unorthodox, and I know that, but I also know that I've got to get myself back into therapy. I haven't gone for a minute. I need to go back to therapy. Basic complexity, your one sentence.
Uh, um, I just personally feel that actions like that definitely play a role in why many are single. And just be open to some new things, like expand your horizons.
Excellent. Now, our next
Hashtag toFend at Surface Level Podcast. Hashtag VersTEAv193
Hey everybody, welcome to Surface Level, creating a community where Black and queer folks are fearless in thought and curious at heart. I'm one of your hosts, Tony, and today Jordan, Damon, and I are discussing how both family and government institutions play a role in queer invisibility. How has seeking approval of our sexuality strained relationships with our parents? How have those experiences shaped how we've navigated life and exist today? This is Don't Ask, Don't Tell. We know a lot about that, and none of us were in the military.
But we know about that. We know about that phrase.
We know about Don't
that
Ask, Don't Tell. Yeah, and we're really excited because today we have a special guest that we are very honored to have landed here for ourselves to have the conversation, and also just for our listeners. I think people will be really excited and gag when they find out who we have with us today. So I'm going to get right into our introduction. So today's guest has a remarkable story. He was thrown out of his mother's home at the age of 16 in New Jersey for being gay. After 10 years homeless, he joined the U.S. Marine Corps, where he became a combat documentarian. After finishing the Marines, he went on to graduate from Columbia University and later NYU's Tisch Graduate Film Program. His award-winning short films have played in almost 150 film festivals worldwide, including Sundance, Outfest, and the American Black Film Festival. And fun fact, Jordan, Damon, and I were first introduced to his work when we watched his series called My House on Viceland, which takes a look into the world of New York's ballroom scene. And his latest project is The Inspection, an incredible film based on his life, starring Jeremy Pope and Gabrielle Union. So today, we're very honored to welcome Elegance Bratton to our Surface Level family.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
After hearing that, I will first say that I do seriously have respect for all military folks, because I am actually the grandson of a Vietnam vet. Um, However, I was never even slightly interested in joining the military, and it was just never my thing. Um, just yeah, like I said, just wasn't my thing. In regards to Elegance being kicked out the house at 16, I I've definitely heard about things like that, like this, when I was younger. I'm not stupid, right? Um, I so I just like if asked if I was gay. Um, at the time, yeah, was younger. I just wasn't putting myself out there like that. I knew the potential risk, and I wasn't playing Russian roulette with it. Um, so just my suggestion to all of those listening would be to not come out until you have your own place. You need an emergency backup plan just in case. And that's what I have.
I'm glad you ended on that because I want to start on that. Having your own place as a little kid, because some parents are like the Juvenile song, and I meant to look it up, but when Juvenile was talking about how he got kicked out for selling dope in the house, and he's like, my mom's like, there ain't gonna be no evil in this house. There are some parents who feel that way about their young kids when the young kids come out of the closet. So as far as them having a backup house, that's not that easy. But anyway, my initial reaction is I immediately remembered this guy that I dated right after college. Beautiful, thick, red bone brother right after graduation, and he was nice to me, right? But part of what he said, and this scared me, he was like, he explained that his parents kicked him out in his early teen years, and he was homeless for many years because he came out as gay, or because, and sometimes parents find out that their child is gay. And I remember hearing stories from a friend in college who told me about his parents who found out that he was gay. And like they didn't kick him out or anything. But anyway, it's parents can be ridiculous. Parents, please don't be ridiculous. And I was so afraid because of the fact that he had been kicked out. His perspective was that every gay person needs to go through that experience to make them stronger. And I particularly coming from my home. Now I hadn't come like all the way out at that point. I was only like 23. But my my family that I had notified was, namely my mom at that point, was very welcoming for me. You know, like and so because of that, I was afraid of him because I'm like, ooh, that's not my experience. Are you going to have a problem with me because that's not my experience? That's not everybody's experience. And I will say that that's another example of an imperfect match that I didn't even attempt to work it out, even though it perhaps could have been worked out, but it perhaps might have not been able to be worked out. I don't know. But I assumed he was too flawed. And I get what he was saying, but I feel it's unnecessary because I say living your homo truth freely in this homophobic world is struggle enough to build the needed stamina and resilience, period. So let's keep living our truth, my friends. And I love Gabrielle Union Wade. Being Mary Jane is one of my favorite shows ever. And I'm looking forward to the inspection, written and directed by Elegance Bratton. Boom. Base complexity. Do you have a 1 minute and or a one sentence? One in one. That's what we'll call that. A one in one. One and or one. How's that? Boom.
All right, that works. Yeah, my suggestion would to all really, or the younger folks directly, would be to not come out until you are on your own or you have your own, just in case.
Yes.
Because yeah, some people you just don't know. And like Aaron, my mom really did not care at all. I told her and she was like, so it's like, okay.
Nice.
My one sentence is really just a suggestion. And it would be, and this is for definitely the younger folks, and it would be to not come out until you're on your own, like you have your own pretty much almost everything, your own place most importantly.
Nice. And my one sentence for our one and one is living your homo truth freely in a homophobic world is struggle enough. To build needed stamina, let's keep living our truth. It plays a role. Anyway, are we ready for the next topic? We are just burning through everything tonight.
Yeah.
Hashtag RingIt.
And
At the Gay Dating Coach. Hashtag VersTEAv193
So I am hanging out with the hubby. Of course, late night eating. So we're just leaving this little kickback house party, and I have a question. Do people respect, acknowledge, or even care about the wedding ring? I'm at this party and literally two guys shoot their shot in front of my husband. Like, yo, let me get your number. What's up? I got a whole wedding ring on. Apparently, I need a bigger one, right? Is that what it is? Answer the question. Do people respect it or not? Let me know.
all right. So, all right, with what he said, I fully understand that some guys just don't care at all. But I'm sorry, not, but do not care at all if you're with someone. And just a reaction in general, it's just that mainly guys, not fully, but mainly guys, that act like that have absolutely no respect about anyone's relationship, period. That's all I have.
All right. My initial reaction is I love love, particularly successful same gender love, right? And it warms my heart and adds to my hope hope for the future. It does. And my connection, I remember as a kid, and this is what it reminded me of. As a kid, I used to be like, I don't want to exchange watches with my, at the time, I assumed I was like everybody else. So with my wife. And I was like, I don't want to exchange rings. I don't want to exchange rings with my wife because that's so boring and played. I'd rather for us to exchange watches because at the time I particularly loved watches, like particularly not smart watches because I'm an early 80s baby, so that wasn't a thing in my childhood. But like I had a calculator watch and stuff like that. I liked watches. And I'll say that the ring is a matter of tradition, right? It
Yeah.
is. And as I am aging, I am getting better at ring spotting. But it's not for the sake of me being like, oh, he got a ring. I wanna, I can't holler at him. No, it's not for that purpose. Because I am too shy to just holler at dudes generally, and I don't like rejection. I've tried it 3 times in my life. I tried hollering at 3 dudes, and I got rejected all 3 times. So I'm like, I don't need to try to holler. Anyway, um, I assume that everyone is heterosexual until they prove otherwise. So that's ring or no ring. That's my assumption. And perhaps it's not deliberate disrespect, but people just don't know because many people will wear rings on any finger. And sometimes it's just wishful wishful, trying to convince themselves of love that they'll have in the future. Like, I'll put it on my ring finger, just in hopes. Sometimes people do it like that, and I will say that tradition does have its many benefits, and but many people are less traditional nowadays, and what he was saying, it was a small kickback event. So people should have known each other at such an event. And I think,
I'm sorry.
is that my timer?
No.
Okay. I'll finish in my 1 minute. Go ahead with your one and or one.
Um. Yeah, we are in. See. Pretty much, it's just a short statement. It's straight to the point, and it's like really because people don't seem to respect relationships at all now. But yeah, well, not even really a full sentence, but a statement would be go find your own peace.
All right now. Peace and peace. I know that's right. Anyway, PIECEPEAC. All right. So I will take a 1 minute and finish up. And I was saying he said it was like a small kickback with people, relaxed atmosphere and people just knowing each other. So I would think that if it's just a group of people who know each other, that people should know that he's married and people
Yeah,
should
you
know
would
that.
think it would be a group of friends.
So let me finish my
Oh, sorry.
sorry, but yeah, so a small kickback with a group of people who perhaps they knew, either way, it's a small group of people, whatever. And I like to think the best of people, but maybe some people can be thirsty, desperate, and unaware newcomers to the group, right? And I have no hate for that because I've been down that road of thirsty desperateness. I'm thirsty sometimes. I can be, but sometimes people might go back to that thinking that you're wearing it for another reason. Because again, in this liberal world, many people buck tradition and will do it for whatever reason, for fashion, stuff like that. Now, some people are like, fuck that, I don't care, I'm gonna shoot my shot. It's Wednesday. That's my throwback to our good friend, the gay dating coach, Lamont White, who was talking about the ring situation, and his hit show, Shoot Your Shot Wednesday. Anyway, but my one sentence is, I'd like to think the best of people, and sometimes it's an innocent mistake powered by powerful thirst energy. Sometimes it's not, though. I don't know. Anyway, are we ready for the last topic before we do our timeless tea with the cards? Yay. The last topic is
Hashtag unwelcoming quintessence at Kala_B at official Samson. Hashtag VersTEAv193
Let's talk about Christians in the gay community. Watch this.
When you limit Sodom and Gomorrah to simply a lesson on homosexuality, you have missed three things. Number one, Sodom and Gomorrah is not about same-gender love. It's about violence and rape. A mob of men want to rape innocent men. This is not same-gender love. This is violence. And when we talk about same-gender love, if you equate same-gender love to violent acts, you have disrespected the conversation. Him loving him is not the same as a mob of men trying to rape somebody.
Not to mention that the Bible says in Ezekiel 16 verses 49 and 50 that the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't same-sex lust. It was pride, gluttony, and an unwillingness to care for the poor and needy. The reality is that the Bible has been used as a tool of hate for a very long time. And that's why you have to read it for yourself. Let me know what you think.
ooh. My initial reaction is, first of all, I was actually sent this video by a fellow deep thinker such as myself, and looks-wise, the preacher, he reminds me of a guy that I once knew. Anyway, but yeah, and talking about Usher, right? Anyway, so and back to that Usher thing. Clearly, I love Usher, right? Period. So I partially fear that this preacher would take that sermon to an anti-SGL place because it is an edited clip and it's like, well, how could he? But he might. And I don't know. Maybe it's just my personal years of biblical shame and shade that contribute to my concern there. But truth be told, it bothers me when other parts of the Bible, when the Bible references the men of the town, people can acknowledge, well, back in the day, women were considered second-class citizens, so the writers of the Bible don't speak to the fact that it was men and women They just say men to mean everybody. But in the case of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, we take it all literally. Literally. That, well, they said the men of the town, so they must just mean the, I almost cussed unnecessarily, so I won't. But it must just mean the gay men in the town. Maybe it was just a town filled with gay men. And I remember this book that I read, The Children Are Free, Re-Examining Biblical Evidence for Same-Gender Love. They spoke, they're like, even in cities like San Francisco that are extremely gay, it's not 100% gay. Even in cities like Atlanta that we love, it's not 100% gay. That's just not how it works. Anyway, but it bothers me how people just, for Sodom and Gomorrah, it's like, well, the Bible says men, so they must be talking about men only. Because even that preacher, who is clearly somebody who's a little more open, like didn't make that distinction, that everywhere else that the Bible just says the men, we comfortably accept that the Bible is talking about the townspeople. Anyway, there's another story in the Bible where of another I'll do it in my 1 minute. Basic complexity. What's your 1 and 1? No. What's your whole speech?
Okay. The one thing about some keyword some, I'm gonna make that very clear. Some questions that has always annoyed me to no end was how they try to turn the Bible into like some type of vocal weapon. And knows that some key things like no one sin is greater than another. Yeah, no one sin, if you even consider it a sin, is greater than another. And that's what I have.
I personally take issue when people are like, no one sin is greater than the other. Because I'm like, but that means that you're implying that it's a sin. Anyway, but
Most do.
you're acknowledging that if it was a sin. I get that. I get it. I'll say for those who have read the entire Bible, there's yet another story in the Bible that they actually, the townspeople gathered to rape some angels. The men gathered to rape some angels. And the person who was conversing with the angels, protecting the angels, he gave them his daughter. They raped his daughter and moved on satisfied. Stuff like that was not an act of homosexual passion. It's not like they were just like, oh, these angels are so fine, I've got to F them. No, that was and that's what it talks. And the guy even kind of mentioned that, how it was because the town was inhospitable, not friendly, and that was the problem. And that was the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah as well. And I wonder why we don't speak about that one very much, huh? Where he gave him his daughter and they were satisfied with that. It's not like it was a part of the Apocrypha. Anyway.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. My one sentence, and this is one of my longer one sentences, but even the least religious people in the world, homosexual and heterosexual alike, acknowledge such flaws in our logic. If we don't want all faith in our world to go the way of the dinosaur, we must use the Bible to preach love and welcoming, not division and discomfort. All right?
Well, my sentence or statement, however you want to word it, would be read the Bible yourself and do not take the words completely literally. There was some 2,000 years ago. Gotta be a little more realistic about it. And that's all I have.
All right. So, we're going to do our card. And the card is coming from tonight's conversation cards. Let's talk. Oh, okay. We will do this one. This is fun. Okay. Completely at random. It reads, could you be completely happy in a relationship if the sex was horrible? Explain your answer. Now, one thing as far as the cards, we didn't establish who's going first, but we'll alternate with that. Do you want me to go first since it's the first time?
You can.
Okay. And this is our TimelessTEA. So we're just talking. Just two friends chatting, right? Two decade-long plus friends. Okay. Could you be happy in a relationship if the sex was horrible? Absolutely. I'm very, very not motivated by sex. Like that's just not a thing for me. Now I acknowledge that people have different levels of sex drive, right? And people have different levels of sex drive. And I might get with somebody who has a slightly higher sex drive. Now, I emphasize slightly because there has been a time that I've been with somebody within a very high sex drive, and I could not. I tried my best, but I did not meet his needs, and as a result, he just went out and fucked the town. Anyway, but so yeah. Do you have an initial reaction? What's your initial reaction to that? And then I have a little more to say.
Just when it comes to relationships and definitely when it comes to sex, yes, things like that do happen. I get that. Now would I end a relationship because the sex is not great? Not necessarily, but we will work on it. That's all I got.
You know, okay. So I have questions for you. So this is good. You say not necessarily. And by the way, you can follow up with questions with me after my answers as well. You know, we can have back and forth like that, but after the answers. So you say that you probably wouldn't. It's like, oh, okay, under some conditions you would. Now, also, you say we'll work on that. And what it reminds me of, I am a fan of Kevin Samuels, who last year passed away, actually. But his his advice lives on, and I receive his advice like because I'm trying to get a man. He gives advice for women to he gives advice with mainly women calling into his show for advice, and I receive it because hetero women, and I receive it because they're looking for a man, I'm looking for a man. Okay, so it works. Sometimes hetero men call his show too, but as far as we'll work on that. It reminds me of when women call in to the show, and it's amazing how many hetero women are like, my man has to make six figures. It's like, how many men do you think make six figures? They're like, my man has to make $500,000 a year, otherwise I won't be satisfied. Like, really? How many people make that much? Anyway, but what Kevin Samuels says in response is the average. I think he said like the average man makes $51,000 a year. The average black man makes $41,000 a year, right? And it's he's like that's what it is. And sometimes women will call in and they'll be like, yeah, well, I mean, he'll start off making 41,000, but once he gets with a boss like me, he'll be making more. Like, I'll teach him how to make more. It's like Kevin Samuels is like, no, that's what he makes. That's what it is. It's not going to change because of you. The average is that. That is the average, statistical average. Not saying statistical average minus the fact that they haven't found that magic woman to raise their average yet. No. He's like, the number is that. That's what it is. So as far as the sex thing, it's like saying that you'll work on it. Well, what if that's what it is? How would you handle that?
Well, then in that case, it's still something we would have worked on. If it don't work, it don't work. That's not. That is that the definite end of a relationship.
But it's possibly one of those. Sometimes the reason it will end, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I mean,
in that case, a lot of things gotta pile up. It wouldn't just be that alone.
okay. So that's not an ELE action, but connected to some other things. It can accumulate. What's the word? Aggregate or something into an ELE action, extinction level event. Right. Now, speaking of extinction level event, and since this is free tea, I don't have that much battery left, but I think we're good for another couple of minutes. Um, you know what? I don't know if cheating in and of itself for me is not an automatic ELE. It depends on the grounds of the cheating, and
Yes.
I'm speaking with somebody who says that people should get the word cheating out of their vocabulary and not look at it that way. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. That's kind of my reaction too. But he's like, that's not how it should be seen. And I'm like, he's the deep thinker who sent me that the video on the guy the preacher guy, right?
Mhm.
And so he's a deep thinker on things, and he knows what he's talking about. I I think it comes down to having to define what, yes, because this is what it is. So just having sex with somebody else, maybe in your relationship, that's not what you define as cheating. But if
Yeah.
you break the whatever the covenant is that you established with your partner, if you break whatever rules you established with your partner, maybe you have an open marriage. That means it's not breaking the rules. But if you establish XYZ rules, or like the sister in the first video, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, K, I, if you establish those rules and whatever they are, and it's broken, it's a broken rule.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm like, that's what I should ask him. Like, what do you think about broken rules? What do you think about broken rules? Basic complexity.
All right. Broken rules, and that definitely varies, but well, for one, it's not gonna look good on whoever. Period. Um, the response might be something subtle. It might be something major. Who knows?
Wow. And when do you establish those rules? That's a very good question, because people are so ridiculous when it comes to relationships.
Mhm.
And well, are we dating? Are we talking? Are we ba 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 in anything? Are we in an actual relationship? It's like, what? So at what point in getting through all of the ridiculous confusion, just like the video by uh, Lek Utraya that we showed on the show a couple of weeks ago, how people have so many different definitions of where they are in terms of relationships. My question to you is, at what point are the rules of the relationship firmly established?
In my personal opinion, I think all that should be laid out from jump, the very beginning of the relationship. You to go over the rules, but you definitely won't tolerate. And yeah, that varies.
And you know what's wild is when it comes to relationships, I believe the children are the future, teach them well and let them lead the way. I believe in terms of relationships that people often assume certain basics of relationships. So something that they think is like, well, all relationships should be this. So that guy should understand that by default. But they don't, you know? And it's different things for different people. So
And I agree with that. Yeah, mainly, yeah, I see your point.
on what date? Like are you all gonna go to I'll just say it because I like it. Romano's Macaroni Grill, and talk about it on like the first day that you say, okay. So the first day that you all establish that you are exclusive, is that when you're going to be like, these are the rules of our relationship? Or is it that the fact that you've established that that you're exclusive, will you feel like, oh, we finally crossed that bridge, we don't need to go through anything else right now? How do you feel about that?
I still think that should all be discussed from the very beginning and not make assumptions, because really assumptions, and it was something my former stepbrother said that was very true. He said assumptions, first three letters in assumptions, ASS. That is what you make out of yourself. You make assumptions without being very clear.
Yeah. And do you even
And
think that?
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, you finish.
No, I was just gonna say, when he said that, it really stuck with me. It's like he got a point. But yeah.
How often do you do that in your relationships? How often do you actually take the time to say, you know what, now that we're official, let's take take out a sterno note, and we'll take some notes on the rules of our relationship. How often have you actually done that? Be honest.
Well, first off, I definitely willingly took a 7-year break from relationships. So mainly my 20s, I was just single. And sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Before that, I was really, in all honesty, I was just too young, and it didn't quite sink in.
Well, you're sidestepping the answer, but I'll just leave it alone and say, one, I've not done that because of the fact that well, I I try to speak very honestly with people, but I've not had that opportunity really yet to say, oh, okay, now that we are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, now we must establish element O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, you know, as far as the rules of the relationship. And I do think it's beneficial. Um, and I get it. Some people are probably like, well, you know, we talk so much. I know so much about him. But I think that it is important to, just like the brother Therapy Jeff says, you know, establish these rules at Therapy Jeff, establish these rules on the onset of the relationship, you know, because a lot of people just assume things. Well, when I spoke with him before and I spoke with him about McDonald's, he said that fast food is not good. So I assume that we'll never be able to go to fast food or something, and I agree. But next thing you know, he's going to fast food because he's like, I said fast food isn't good, but that doesn't mean I don't go to fast food, you know? So a lot of times people can assume things that they should not assume. Anyway, basic complexity, do you have anything else to say, my friend?
Nothing I could necessarily think of.
All right, hashtag VersTEAv family. This has been week 193. And 93 is special for many reasons of hashtag VersTEAv. Yeah, something like that. Hashtag VersTEAv. And wait, did I? I might not. I hope I did. All right. I'm Aaron Mack. You can find me, Aaron Mack, at VersTEAv.com. That's AARONMCK at VersTEAv.com. You can find hashtag VersTEAv all over the social media landscape. Just search hashtag VersTEAv and whatever your favorite social media medium is. And there is a good chance that we will be right there waiting for you. You remember that song by Monica and one? Actually, technically, it was 112 featuring Monica. Do you remember that?
Yeah, right here waiting was one of her. Wow. All right, I'm showing I'm definitely a fan. On her second album, The Boy Is Mine.
And you're absolutely right. It was on both albums because it was on The Boy Is Mine, and it was also on 112's. What was 112's album around that time?
Wasn't I want to say it's not Room 112?
No, it was right before that.
Then
Because Room 112 was wait a minute. Room 112 was the second album, right?
yeah, because part 3 was their third album.
Right. So it was Room 112. Yeah, they have it on Room 112. Anyway, right here waiting for you. Just do a search hashtag VersTEAv and we'll be right here waiting for you. I'll give you extra points. I'll give you extra millennial points if you. Now we were very young when this came out. If we were even alive, I think we were alive, but we were very young. Who sang the original? Right here waiting for you. Right here waiting.
Ooh, because I know it was a remake. I just don't. I really don't know who sung the original.
Some people might call me the stupidest MF, but I believe it was Richard Marx. MARX. Anyway, all right. Basic complexity. We've talked about so much stuff. Where can we find you, friend?
Well, okay. I could also be found on VersTEAv.com, and name is just basic complexity. And it's like just take those two words, mash them together, no space. BASICCOMPLEXITY.
All right. Thank you, social media family, friends. We we'll see you all next time for week 194. Basic complexity's got the 94. Basic complexity might be like, Brent, you know, it's so funny how we're doing this like this. But while I love Brandy, you're the bigger Monica fan. So you could be like, Brandy came out in '94. Yay! But we have Dion Jenkins commented. Well, same to you, friend. Thank you. Happy Martin Luther King Day. Oh,
I see.
yeah. And but '94 is the year Brandy came out, and you get '94, so you get 4. So you might name '94 Brandy. You might name one of my favorite albums by Beyonce, 4. 4 is one of my favorite albums by Beyonce, and
Yes, I love 4.
I do too. That's one of my favorites, and it's now tied for that and Renaissance. Renaissance and 4, my 2 favorite Beyonce albums. Period.
You know what? I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I'm loving Beyonce. Anyway, but yes. So you could name that for your 4 next week, and then the following week I get 5. So I could name the fact that Monica came out in '95. You know. Anyway,
Because
or
I knew that Brandy came out before Monica was well aware of that. Was even a big thing. But yeah, Brandy's first album, yeah, I believe I did already know it was the year prior to Monica's first album.
And at the end of the day, I honestly think it was like just a couple of months apart.
And that's probably right.
Right. Anyway, all right, social media family. Week #VersTEAv week 193. Signing off. We'll see you all next time. 9:35 p.m. Like Whitney Houston did, followed by Nelly at the award show when they were applauding her, and she was like, "Oh, thank you. Applause back to you." Anyway, talk to y'all later. Peace. VersTEAv.com. Stay blessed. Have a good night.